thousands of funerals in his career, had never seen anything like it, and said, "Today I witnessed a miracle." About the same time, an ad hoc Amish committee set up to oversee funds that poured in from around the world for a victims fund announced they would be giving some of the money to a second fund for Charles Roberts' children. Now, this sort of response, seemingly instant forgiveness as it was portrayed in the media, expressed in both word and deed. Now, this was news. This was suddenly a new news story, but it was a development for which reporters and the public at large were seemingly unprepared and for which they struggled to make sense. In the aftermath of nickel mines, some commentators praised Amish forgiveness and jumped to apply its example to a host of other social and political issues. At the same time, some other commentators criticized Amish forgiveness. They said it was too fast, it was emotionally unhealthy, it was a denial of innate human needs for justice. In the months that followed, two colleagues and I sought to understand intellectually and increasingly personally the dynamics of what had happened in the wake of the nickel mines shooting. We came to the story as people who knew Amish culture. We came as parents and grandparents of young children. We came as Christians who believe that forgiveness is a good thing, but a complex thing. And I'd like to share a bit about what we found. Let's just begin with the simple phrase, the Amish forgave the killer. Well, within a few days of the shooting, everyone knew that. The Amish forgave the killer. That was in hundreds of news stories. But what exactly did that mean? And who were they? And what and how did they forgive? Why did they forgive? What did that mean? First, who are the Amish? Known to many of us through postcard images, or perhaps if you live in an area with Amish community, you might have Amish co-workers or neighbors. The Old Order Amish Church is comprised of about 175,000 adherents who live in 26 states in the province of Ontario. They descend from the 16th century Anabaptists, a group that emerged out of the Protestant Reformation. And the Amish themselves emerged as a distinct group about 300 years ago in Europe when they separated from their more progressive religious cousins, the Mennonites. Unlike most Mennonites, who generally sought greater engagement with their surrounding culture, the Amish have generally maintained more distance from mainstream culture. They maintain distinctive dress, they end formal education with 8th grade, they don't own automobiles, use horse and buggy transportation, and otherwise avoid many other commonplace technologies. In fact, it was this image of the Amish as separate, as different, as distant, a distance that the media generally respected in the wake of the nickel mine shooting, that perhaps fueled some of the questions and misunderstandings and criticism of the Amish response. The Amish didn't speak on camera to news media. We saw them on television only at a distance, which also projected, I think, to us an Amish emotional distance, or a sort of stoicism with which they were responding to the shooting and the deaths and wounding of the girls. In fact, the Amish were grieving deeply and had a far from simplistic understanding of forgiveness. Now, it is the case that some things were clear to them from the start. The decision to forgive, for example, came quickly, I would say almost instinctively. The Amish knew they wanted to forgive. They knew it so clearly that they could express it immediately and publicly, even before they felt that way. One Amish grandmother laughed when we asked her if there had been a meeting to decide to forgive Charles Roberts. No, she and others laughed. Forgiveness was a decided issue, long before the events of October 2nd raised the occasion for forgiveness. At the same time, this grandmother and others with whom we spoke in the months that followed made it clear that forgiveness is terribly hard work, emotionally.